in India, a majority of the energy that the people in India use is biomass that they're burning. So it's actually cow dung. And the release of cow dung has a lot of methane and CO2, which they burn to cook their food and keep their homes warm. And there's over 1 billion people just in India alone. And there's other natural biomass that other people are using, say in the mountainous or farming regions of China outside of the metropolises, which they also use. And those things also have a great impact. But then you find that our unchecked need for physical goods and services to run within this world, compounded by a structure of debt and a poorly designed financial system, causes us to create more, buy more, demand more, use more, and strip the earth of its natural materials and tell us that we just need to continue to generate more. It's a repetition of this idea of what is seeming progress, but the progress is actually more damaging to us.
So sometimes even the primitive society does a lot of damage.
Of course it does. We're primitive right now, but then there's other groups that, are just as primitive. But I think if you're talking about the clear context of someone that lives very close in line with nature, you can find those people, right? And you can find them in primitive or you can find them in very developed areas. But a vast majority of people are just trying to find the most economically feasible things for themselves, but it's not necessarily what's in the best interest of them, their health, their community, or the planet in doing so. Just because I bought something from China and it was cheap doesn't mean that it's, overall going to be a good choice for me in my life, because there's many different elements that are baked into it. And that thing may not last very long. And I should have paid more. And I should have been more conscious about what I was doing. But we are conditioned into a society of not being that conscious about these decisions we're making, Mark.
It was interesting that you talked about India burning dung.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a guy I worked with once. I was kind of reading about that. And he says, yeah, it makes the air pollution really bad. And I forget what city. He told me one of the cities is particularly bad.
Yeah.
And that's like a seasonal thing they do, right?
It is a seasonal thing they do. And I mean, other people still burn coal to heat their homes. Like, that is not, one, what you want to be breathing, two, putting into the atmosphere. And it's not the most efficient thing in the world to keep you warm, but that's all they have at that respect.
Coal has the little particles.
Coal's got a lot in it.
Yeah, no, you breathe that in and it damages you, correct?
Yes. So any sort of an aerosol, do you know what an aerosol is?
Sure.
Yeah, an aerosol is just it's a particle. It's a physical particle that floats around. And your lungs it's a mesh. It's a meshy membrane, and it directly connects with your bloodstream. So when you're huffing in things that are organic or inorganic, or in an organic sense, not good for you, your lungs take it and filter that through first. And if you're constantly over the stove, cooking over these things, breathing it in, it's damaging you at very small cellular levels. But over the course of many, many years, that's a lot for the body to deal with. That's a big toll. And now you have so many people who have been like that, generating a health toll over so long, then they need to be cared for in end-of-life care. So now you have a massive economic drain and pressure on a healthcare system because of all these different life habits people have had up to that point, which need to be cared for then at the end of life.
I remember when I lived in Cincinnati that there's a lot of air pollution there, and some of that's from burning coal. And there are like these particulates that are particularly bad for you. And I just remember the difference when I left there and came up here. Part of it was, being able to breathe a little better.
Yeah. You gotta, let's see what's in it. Yeah, ammonia, you don't want to be huffing that. Sulfur dioxide, you absolutely do not want that in your lungs. And nitrogen oxides. Anything that's really an oxide is something that is going to be extremely damaging to organic material in those respects. Like, you don't want your water that you drink heavily oxygenated, right? That's not really the...
Oh, really?
Yeah, water is, oxygen is, how do I explain this chemically and simply? It's like super active, right? Mm-hmm. And it's really good at burning through things. And too much of that oxygen, it actually isn't best for the water itself. It destroys the structure of that water and how you bind things to it. Things, rust, right? What are things doing? They're oxidizing. So oxidation creates that degradation of what I'd say hard metals, or if you're plowing fields with iron objects, it destroys things at cellular levels. And it's difficult to recover from that. And a lot of it is water-based materials, water-based organisms, or anything of the sort. When you deal with these oxides come in and they oxidize things, right? Something is getting replaced at a chemical level, but degrading the physicality of whatever that thing might be.
So I remember that on the ancient Earth, our atmosphere had more oxygen, and the trees grew much bigger, and the animals grew much bigger as well, correct?
Yeah, it's not bad to have more oxygen. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm talking about oxides.
Oxides.
Yeah, yeah. So, and again, I'm not a chemist by trade, but I'm just talking about when things are oxide heavy, it's typically not good. And if you want an easy barometer to tell about the quality of air somewhere, the more cobalt the sky is, the better quality of the atmosphere you're breathing. And you typically find deep cobalt skies further in the north around Alaska, right? Or Tierra del Fuego, or you find it in places like New Mexico where it's a very rich blue. Places of very low pollution, low human activity, and very untouched natural cycles.
Also, rust on metal you were talking about. And I remember that our thinking actually affects the rust on the metal.
Yeah, that's correct. So
that's amazing, actually.
Well, remember. Let me see if I can make this jump for you here.
Okay.
And I think you'll appreciate this.
One interesting thing in our discussions, I always come up with a plan, and we go about 2 questions into, we take about a 15-minute.
Yeah, that's what happens. You got to be careful, Mark. Be careful.
I always got questions. I should just listen and just be quiet. Go ahead.
All right. So here's my point. So we've gone over this in previous episodes that your thoughts affect the physical world. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about rust, and I talked to you about oxidation and rust itself. I said that when you have that much amount of oxidative stress, essentially, there's so much of this harsh chemical process going on. It's like moving back and forth. It's quite chaotic. If we, in our world, have lots of these chaotic thoughts, we are also affecting physical objects, right? Our atmosphere, we are affecting things which are metal. And so we are exacerbating the speed at which things are degrading because of the way we think. So we're emitting a chaotic signature that matches up with things that are oxidizing, and then they have a compounded resonance causing those things to just erode at a more accelerated rate.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to that. I found this really interesting stuff in the Might of Thoughts that talks about the fact that we are actually creating our surroundings from our thoughts. Now, depending on how you interpret that and interpret what he says, you could probably interpret it different ways, but it's pretty amazing stuff. But this was a slight tangent. I was trying to get through some more news, but we took a little bit of a...
You can do some more news. I mean, that's fine.
Well, this one you'll find interesting because it's so absurd. On another note, a cruise turned into a nightmare for people aboard the Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas when a young man jumped overboard shortly after 4 a.m. Thursday. The ship that this drunk person jumped off of was one of those huge cruise ships. And I believe that if the people are, for example, if we're focused intensely on our higher evolution, we probably won't be jumping off cruise ships at 4 a.m. in the morning.
That's a pretty good jump. Did he die or is he alive?
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
It's a shame.
Sad story, but, talking about your thinking, let's talk about winning numbers for estimating. Oh, by the way, there is a Powerball now. It's worth over $1 billion. I don't really follow this stuff either, but I just found this interesting. And I think these Powerballs are kind of destructive. We ought to be striving and working for goals instead of trying to win the lottery and all this crazy stuff. What do you think about what this does to people's motivations?
Oh, man. Do you know what happens when people make a lot of money really fast?
They probably blow it
Mhm.
really.
They lose it really quick. Now, money is like energy. And
Mhm.
unless you know how to deal with copious amounts of energy, which has to be learned, you're just going to lose it. It's going to disappear on you. It's
Right, 'cause
it's no good. You don't understand how to deal with it. Mark, if I give you the keys to a nuclear power plant, what would you do? You wouldn't know what to do with it. I give you the keys to a UFO, which has the ability to move faster than the speed of light. You wouldn't know how to operate it. You have to be taught. You have to learn these things over time. And many people feel that, or in a lot of respects, they would like to play the lottery because they want to stop working. They want to retire from life, but they don't realize that life is work. You cannot escape these things. You won't learn anything from it. You learn how you can spend money, and you can spend it really fast. But I don't know. Yeah, play the Powerball. Go ahead. I'd rather get lucky under my own hard labors rather than the government determining something mathematically that I'm probably not even going to hit on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The bird flu pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to talk about that again.
Yeah.
That could be a real thing, right? I mean,
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. $1 million is not a lot to create a biological weapon. I mean, just to create a drug here in the United States costs you like $1 billion at a minimum just to get it through some clinical trials. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't have a clue. I got, 14, 15 chickens now. They're all fine. So,
yeah,
I don't know. If one of them drops dead on me just out of like the air and I'm like, that doesn't look right, then I will let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not well versed in it.
Have you been following any of the airline problems they're having?
You think about Boeing? So I learn my news from other people. I don't like reading the news. I have no interest in it.
Pilot, one of the pilots said the brake seems less effective.
Oh, good.
So he slid off the taxiway. We've had a lot of problems with doors falling off and landing gear falling off and engines catching on fire. It's a very strange time it almost seems like our society's kind of fallen apart. And let me bring this up just to show the point.
It was never together, Mark.
Well, obviously, it really wasn't. Congress, I couldn't believe this when I saw it. Congress has approved $54 billion for the Ukraine war.
Mm-hmm. Idiots.
Total idiots. I mean, they're totally. Joe Biden, he asked for another $38 billion on top of the 54.
Mm-hmm. He can't even figure out what his next sentence is. Why is he asking for money? Doesn't matter. He doesn't run the government. The CIA does. Doesn't matter.
I think so. Yeah, I think.
No, that's a definite. Do you know what? There's only one power in this world, Mark, and it's knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one group that knows more than anybody else, just because they confiscate knowledge and they hold it so siloed, so close to their chest. That's the CIA.
CIA.
Yeah. Unlimited funding, unlimited knowledge, access to any corner of the internet, completely unrestricted. Yeah, it's them.
Did you hear about the and I may have this later on in the show, I don't remember, but there was a group, we've got Israel and Gaza over there, and they're fighting, and the aid workers are driving their vehicles in there,
mm-hmm.
three vehicles, and the IDF blew them up from the air.
I'm going to share something. It's war.
It is.
Okay?
It is.
You are in the business of killing people in war. So why does it make a difference to them, whoever this person is who's in the business of doing war, if you're an aid worker or not? They don't give a shit. They don't like it at all. If anything, you're just in the battlefield in their context. To them, they probably have insanely rationalized some sort of ratio between civilian casualty and who they pin as enemy casualty. I don't know this. I'm speculating. But the way I see it is like, for us, we're like, what they're doing is immoral. They're already killing other people. What would stop them from killing an aid worker? To me, it does not shock me.
I follow your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's logical. Yeah.
Yeah. War is war. It's never good. Human beings killing each other, human beings, does absolutely no service to this planet. Does nothing to our evolution collectively. It is unknowing, unjust, unruly, animalistic, barbaric, hideous, spineless, everything about it. It's disgusting at its core.
It is. It's hard to believe we're spending that much money.
No, it's not. No, it's not, because a portion of those funds go to specific projects. It's not just them over there. It's just money to exacerbate open wounds. That's all they want to do. And when you put money into these things, people become highly polarized on it. When people lose their jobs, they become polarized. When people's bank accounts get low. And when you find out tax dollars are going towards something, now you have people's attention. You can direct people emotionally because you're using money.
But, $54 billion, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in some respects, but I don't know if it goes over one chunk, or what they're saying is we'll commission over the next X amount of years, this amount of dollars per year towards the military industrial complex to create new weapons, do these things, submit aid, all this other shit that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read it. I haven't looked over it, but I'm sure it has those things in place. So it's probably broken down. So they have an expectation about how long they want this conflict to last. And you could see it right there probably if you read it.
Yeah, you're right. It could be over years. It's hard
they don't want to shut down their business. Murder for them is good business. So they want to continue to do it. Instability is good business. That's what they want.
Okay, I'm going to jump to the book, The Way to Live, on page 116.
Oh, you want to jump to something positive? Yay.
Yay.
Yay, Mark. Yay.
Through this religious, sectarian, irrational teaching, every believer's creational, natural, innate striving for that which is higher and for the highest possible, absolutely full development is throttled and even eliminated. Mm-hmm. So if you get involved in certain religions, they are going to stifle your strive, your natural urge to strive.
And why do you think that, Mark? Tell me.
Because I think maybe their philosophies go against creation, and they teach certain things that interrupt the natural urge to strive. Now, I could guess at a few doctrines that.
Go ahead. Give me one. This. Yeah, rip it. Go for it.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of, of our religions, they somehow take away the tendency that we normally have to be independent, to think on our own, to take responsibility, and to really, really work. And I think sometimes religion interrupts this natural thought process. And I think that's what Billy's saying.
I see religion like artificial intelligence. I can have a question, put it into a prompt. This thing goes through, reads the Bible of the internet, it spits me out a passage and tells me to live like that. I don't even have to think about it. I'd be like, oh, this thing is combed through all human knowledge and understanding. It's told me exactly how I need to live. Guess what? It's a load of crap. It's a load of crap.
Could be wrong.
How can this thing possibly know the context of hand? I am so unique. So is every other 9.4, 9.5, 10 billion people that are on this planet. Every single one has its own unique personality, its own idiosyncrasies, its own thought patterns that are completely unique in signature. You cannot, in any way, shape, or form, have evolution happen from the outside. And religion is something that says there is something greater than you determining for you how you should live, giving you rules. It does not allow you to construct for yourself what is best for you. What is the best alignment of self? How to think about your relationship with what allows you to exist. They tell you to believe in structures. Do not challenge them. If this works for everybody else, it must work for you. Well, that's fundamentally not true. It doesn't work at all, right? You know, if you have people that are good at murdering, that doesn't mean it's good for me. You can't just assume that, generically across the board and say, hey, blanket statement. But that's what religion does. And religion, on top of that, always forces you to think about your sins, the past. And everything you got to do is about the sins. It's not about correcting your way of thinking to evolve to go forward, but it is a constant reminder of history for you. It is not actually talking about you and your rich development and your own self-awareness, your own self-responsibility going forward. It's like, no, you need to fix yourself for some higher being. And if you don't do so, you're going to have a bad life in the future. So you're saying my past, and I have no determination if this thing, which I don't even know and I've never seen, is going to decide for me that my future is going to be best if I can atone for these things? Atone to what? For karma? For sins? To a priest? Like, what are these things? Do I got to pray to a totem so that this thing can fix me? No. Fixing happens from the inside out. But religion wants you to think that the outside in is the only way to live. And it doesn't want you to be neutral, positive, and push yourself forward by your own bootstraps. No, you have to ask. You need to get permission. You can't come through the pearly gates because you're a bad person. You're going to go to hell because of the shit you did. Or the next life you live, you're going to come back as a bug. How dumb is that?
Page 118, way to live.
You get me so amped up, Mark.
Aging in life.
Jeez.
Neither suffering nor grief. And no life is subject to karmic conditions, which is what you said, right? So karma is just the law of cause and effect. And Billy has a page on karma. Karma signifies nothing less than the law of causality, which is the natural creative law of cause and effect. The material realm, as well as the immaterial or spiritual and fine material realm, are included in this law. Just cause and effect.
Just pure cause and effect. Guess what happens when my fleshy body goes away and dies? I'm no longer in the material chain of cause and effect. It's gone. It's completely gone. That personality of Alexander McCaig is completely gone. Abolished. Never to come back. But what does stay forward are the energy signatures of truth, knowledge, wisdom, peace, love. Those things carry forward. Those things are timeless. They're timeless because they're truthful. And so in the non-material realm, those good values get to be brought forward. Nothing negative is brought forward. Things that are karmic, in a sense, those don't carry themselves forward. The spirit doesn't care about that. That stuff's crap. That was an error. It's not bringing the errors forward. It's only bringing all the good things.
The only thing that I think might happen sometimes, and I don't know if you've read about this or not, but I know that, and I forget that there's a college that has a focus on reincarnation. I can't remember the name of it. I can't even remember the guy's name that did these studies. But what they found out was, for instance, a person has past life memories that are very traumatic. And they have a memory of being stabbed in the back. And sometimes there will be like a birthmark that, like from a stab wound. I've seen things like that seem to come over. Which it doesn't really matter that much. It's not that big of a deal. I wish I could remember the name of that.
I know what you're talking about. So this gentleman, one of the people did a study outside of reverse hypnosis. They did a study on children. I think the book was called like Many Lives, Many Faces or something like that.
Yeah.
And the context here is that these children were having recollections of events of historical people when the kids have no context to the history. They were too young to understand it, to learn it, but they're sharing with their parents, and the parents brought them in. They're like, analyze my kid. There's something wrong with him. What they found is that beyond a scientific doubt, there was enough evidence to say that there must be some form of reincarnation that is occurring. They are tapping into past cosmic storage bank memories that are stored somewhere, but they have the ability to access them.
Right.
Yeah. Very cool stuff.
Definitely.
Very cool stuff.
I need to get my ducks in a row on that. I didn't know I would get into reincarnation.
Yeah. The
Okay.
everything grows, comes back, but nature is in a constant state of adaptation and movement. So because of that, because of the laws of adaptation, because of the laws of movement, cause and effect, it cannot have two of the exact same thing. Can't do it. Wouldn't work. It needs to have something at some sort of core level to be different. And when things are born, something new has to be born every single time. And if it kept recreating the same exact personality, it'd be very difficult for it to learn because it doesn't get variability in its context. Almost like training a computer algorithm in some senses. You need massive amounts of variability. Then you can largely test it, assimilate that information, and then bring it back to retune your model, right?
AI is trained, isn't it?
AI is trained, okay? It's trained to have a very specific function for an output, but there's a nuanced difference here. We're not training humans to have a specific output. We're just evolving better. That's all we're doing. We're not trying to have a better output like, oh, I can do I have the biggest high jump, or I can type faster than anyone else, or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. That's not what it wants. What it wants to do is it wants to learn a perfection of evolution. It wants to learn a perfection of love, knowledge, wisdom, peace, truth, right? Harmony, concord, all those things. That's what it wants for itself because that's what it lives in. That's what allows you to exist. So it says, go out here, have a new personality every single time. Go through this process of adaptation in assimilating, or not assimilating, or aggregating more of this wisdom for yourself.
So life doesn't mean suffering or grief. It means fulfillment through striving.
Yeah. And guess what? You're going to have some grief. You're going to suffer some days.
You're going to have some, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. Especially if striving is involved.
Yeah. Sometimes it hurts, but guess what? It's not permanent. And it really depends on how you receive that level of pain or suffering or whatever the hell you want to call it in your own brain. It's how you deal with that learning material. This is something that is here to damage Mark. This is something here to slow Mark down. No. Everything is to accelerate Mark's evolution. That's all.
It's interesting that this whole concept of striving just keeps coming out. And it took me a long time of studying the Meyer material before I started to really get this information. I don't know why, but it all seems to make a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
There's so much depth to Billy's material. You read it 10 times and you get more and more and more and more information all the time.
The depth, here's an interesting concept for you. The depth hasn't changed because the material hasn't changed.
It was always there.
It was always there. Now, how you use it and apply it to your life increases with depth because your understanding of how to use the hammer, the tool, has become that much greater. So you can build more than just a frame. Now you can put up walls. You can do the house. Your depth is the thing that increases.
I remember when I went to Munns Park for the first time, and I just bought The Might of Thoughts from Michael Horn. And I would read this book and not get anything out of it. I mean, I had never come across the book like that. Yeah. I would read a page and I almost got nothing out of it. It's just astonishing.
These, they're like specialties. You need a general base foundation, right? You need general knowledge, and you don't have that at first. And so when you read these things, you're like, "The hell? How does that apply? I don't even get that." And then you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's so obvious." Well, yeah, because now your obvious foundation is in place, and you're like, "Oh, I see how that applies." That's why you start with places like the Goblet. When you read the Goblet, it's a very foundational, easy to read piece. You can take it line by line. And then you can get into things like Die Atzuleben, Machta Gedanken, like things like that, because they are like the specialties of these things, right?
So I'm kind of going at that backwards.
Not that you're going at it backwards, but people get excited. If someone said, "Hey, your first car is going to be a Formula One car," okay?
So you want to drive it?
You want to drive it, but then you're like, "Wait a minute, How do you use paddle shifters, right? And then what do these funny lights mean? And what type of fuel goes in this thing?
Right.
Start with a bicycle. Once you figure out how to get that momentum down, then work your way up, right?
Very, very good. And striving occurs in the death.
Yeah.
Death, in turn, means new life, and death means striving, advancement, higher development.
Yeah.
Right.
So your overall consciousness block, there's an energy signature, boom, goes off somewhere, gets stored in the big hard drive in the sky. The thing has to decompress knowledge, and the spirit has to take time to take that energy signature of wisdom, love, peace, harmony, all those great things, and assimilate it, those energy waves, into itself. Okay? Can't see it, can't feel it, but it's amassing a greater energy of creational existence within itself. Its resonance grows, and that takes time. It's almost like maturing, incubating. So when the physical body dies, everything that I've learned over the course of my life, I have to digest it like I'm digesting a meal. But energetically, it's being digested. And the thing that consumes it is my spirit. The same laws that function for me to exist in many respects also happen in parallel in a non-physical world. And one of those things is that intake of nourishment. The nourishment for me is food, right? Or good conversations with Mark. For the spirit, it's the nourishment of a life of experience that brings in knowledge, love, wisdom, and peace, which it wants to take in, because that allows it to evolve from the inside out, to have a greater resonance.
So is it the knowledge that goes over into the other world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why not? It's an energy signature. When you become more truthful, more peaceful, more exact and assiduous, right? More loving, your thought patterns become highly refined. They become super, super fine, beautiful, gentle, like a rose petal landing on the water. Those things, right? That energy state, that travels across. Chaotic things won't make it through. But those things that are super fine, super beautiful, right? Very, 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 very aligned with creation itself, that passes through. That's the stuff that gets passed forward. That's the stuff that's timeless. Non-timeless things, they don't make it.
In the Meyer material, it does talk about life in the other realm, life on the spirit side.
Yeah.
And in somewhere on the Future Mankind site, I read that we should spend, like, say, if we spent 100 years in a physical body, ideally we would spend about 150 years in the spirit realm.
1.52.
Okay, yeah, 1.52. In order to process all that information that we had.
Yeah.
But one of the big problems now, because of
overpopulation,
people come back too soon.
Yep.
Sometimes really quickly.
Next day.
Oh man. That would be difficult.
Well, you can't process.
You didn't get anything from your last life hardly. Then.
No. And then imagine if you committed suicide. It's like, damn it. Go right back. Bang.
Wow.
There was no time to digest the learnings of the life. Well, not only did you cut it short, but you got to go right back onto the planet, and you got to fill another meat suit. 1.52. That's a ratio. Yes. I don't know. I mean, I've probably died quite a few times. I mean, I haven't calculated the ratio, and I got the equipment for it. I hope one day I do. But my goal is to live as long as possible. No guarantee with that. I could drop dead after this podcast or this radio show. But I will do whatever I can in every single day, given the fact that I do not know when my life will end. I will try to learn as much as possible. I will take it as a gift every single day that I wake up. And I will share that gift in love with every person that comes in contact with me.
So the purpose of living is to evolve. Every single being is born in order to evolve.
Nothing else to do. Otherwise, why would you be born? If there was no point of evolving or striving, why be born? It'd be pointless.
And we are driven by this creational impulse to strive, correct?
Damn Skippy, my friend.
So one day after we've lived 40 or 60 million years, we won't need a physical body anymore. Then we start to switch over to that fine matter form.
Now, the requirement of physical body goes away. So at 40 to 60 million years, right, at that time, and you could calculate the lifetimes if you take, so it's really like, say, for instance, if you lived to 100 years every single time, it's like 2.5. So just divide that by 2.5 and you get your calculation of, how many lives you'd have to go through. Now, the element of this is interesting. So the body becomes less necessary because as you evolve, you go more into a life of energy and thought because you're becoming more wise. And the more wise you are, the more timeless you become. That's why they call it wisdom. It's timeless.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the body maintains physical in some respects, but it's also non-physical because there's such a strong energy resonance to that non-physical body, right? It's pure spirit energy. Then for 60 to 80 billion years or some massive number after that, no body required. Don't need it. Goodbye. I'm just going to stick with pure spirit level. I don't need the physical anymore.
We spend billions of years in the pure physical.
Yeah, but you got to think about this too, Mark. The pure the non-physical, which is a long time, 60 to 80 billion years, it's non-physical. You're not experiencing time the same way, Mark. It's completely different.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You don't live time. You watch it. Here in our physical, we're living time. Since you and I have been talking, Mark, I've aged. I've aged since the very first time you and I conversed. I'm actively in a dying state. But that's the purpose here. It's not for me to be around forever. It forces me to compress when I am learning. It forces me to compress my actions to do things that are more meaningful. Because my compression of time, it's becoming more restricted and restricted the older I get. So I have to make better decisions. Not that I have to. I choose to.
So there really isn't an end.
No. An end is like a very physical idea, but it's also not. It's a non-real idea. Yes, physical bodies go away, personalities go away, but the energy of what allows me to exist transforms itself. Second law of thermodynamics. Okay, it's going to shift into something else, and then again, a new body will create itself, pull in more energetic signatures, live, exist, and then decompose and break apart again down to a base material. Repeating this process.
Does the spirit form create the body?
No, no, neither.
Creation.
Neither of those things.
Oh.
Yeah. Humans procreating, having sex, okay, coming together at a genetic level, create a physical vessel. And then on day 21, when the nervous system is developed and the heartbeat first hits, bang, just like that, a new spirit goes into that vessel. Because now that vessel is perfect room and board for that spirit to sit inside of.
Does the creation decide which spirit goes into what body?
I don't know.
I've never heard him talk about that.
I don't know. And I'd imagine and this is just hypothesis, speculating. Right. I'd imagine it does not get brought up because it may cause confusion.
Oh.
Or people will be like, oh, so I chose this, and then it could go down this completely radical path. I would imagine, Mark, this. Okay?
Imagine.
I would imagine that the spirit, given its wisdom that it's assimilated, needs to attach itself to physical vessels that can deal with its level of energy. Okay? If I put too much voltage through some sort of electric motor, I'll burn it out, right?
Sure.
Okay. So I think, just given my reason, that it does choose in some respects a vessel that can handle the energy of the stage which it's evolved into. Okay? You following?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think definitely there. And then if the thing becomes really evolved, I think it probably chooses whatever the hell it wants to do. It says, that's a good time. That's a good body to go down into. That's the one I want. See that? That life looks like a chaotic mess. I think I'm going to learn something over there. You know what I mean? It's probably like, yep, that's a good learning experience. Yep. Or it's just like, give me whatever you want. Just give it to me at random. I'm doing this billions of times anyway. Just throw it at me. I don't care. I'll take anything. Black, white, Asian, female, extraterrestrial. Give it all to me. I don't care. Mermaid, I'll take it. Maybe there's something I can learn, right? It's probably how it works. I don't know, though. That's actually a great question. You know what I'll do? I'm going over to Switzerland in May.
Are you?
If I get to chill with Billy for a second, I'll ask him. Is that fair?
Do you think he'd probably talk to you in German? Might be hard to understand.
He knows English too. But I'll ask.
He doesn't use English much anymore, does he?
I don't know. Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah.
How long are you going to be there? A couple of weeks? Or?
Yeah, I'll be there for 12 days.
12 days. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it should be nice.
Were you going to be staying someplace close to the center?
I'll be at it.
Oh, you'll be staying there.
Yeah, I'll be staying at the center for a night, but then I want to go see the rest of Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know they let people do that.
You got to ask.
Do you?
Yeah.
Just one night?
Yeah, just one. No, I'm not. What do I look like? Some sort of ritualistic follower? I'm here to say hello. You know what I mean? Just in passing.
Okay.
Just like life, like a lightning flash.
Wow. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
But if I can pose that question, I will ask that question. I will share this. You ready for this? There is one piece of written material that I have read and I have not forgotten. He made a comment once, that certain spirits appreciate the way a face looks. And as the spirit becomes much more evolved, it tends to choose the same looking face over and over because the face is very potentiating. It's a good face for learning. So there must be a level of intelligence in the selection, I would say, Mark. I'd say at a younger level for the spirit, younger ones, relatively, they probably just take everything at random. Other ones wait, possibly patiently, and say, yeah, right there. That's the face I was looking for. That face is going to remember itself. Something at a deep, deep, deep unconscious level is going to trigger something.
Well, isn't it possible that Billy's lives, if you look, there is some resemblance from his past lives?
Sure.
Yeah. More than just a beard, but...
No. You see this more than just a beard. There was someone who shared something in the group over here from the I thought was really funny. It says, a man without a beard is like bread without crust.
I like that.
Yeah, I knew you liked that. That's a good one. It gave me a big chuckle, you know. And for me, look at me. I got nothing on my face. I can't even grow anything on my face. I grow it all on my head. See that?
Well, that's good. That's not necessarily bad. You can still get your...
Well, I can tape.
What do they call that? The hair brings in more information potentially.
Antennae, right?
Yeah, right.
It reminds me of the old Apache trackers. I think they were Apache or Cherokee during Vietnam. Do you remember this?
Yeah. It's a great movie.
Yeah, and they remember how they cut their hair and they couldn't track as well.
Oh, did it really affect them?
Oh, yeah.
The intuition is lost when the hair is not there, right?
It's really, hair is a sensitive thing.
Yeah,
you have hair on your arms, right? Most people do.
Sure.
They're not hairless like a cat. You can feel the gentlest breeze. You can feel a tick as it walks across your skin, right?
Yeah.
You may not see it, but you can certainly feel something like that. Hair is extremely sensitive, and they all go down and they touch these nerve endings, and it picks up on things, frequencies, temperatures, all of it. You know, static electricity. Hair is really, really cool. I think it's also tremendously undervalued, hair that's on people's heads. Why do you think your head grows so much of it?
It's got to be for a good reason.
It's got to be for a great reason, right? You want to charge that antenna up, right? How helpful. Yeah. If these things at some level can help receive, great. Fantastic.
Definitely. Your beard will grow eventually.
Yeah, maybe one day, you know. My hormonal levels will change, and then I'm going to look like Gandalf the Grey. You know?
Well, believe it or not, we're to our hour already. Let's keep them to an hour. So I think that might be better.
Yeah, that works. And
I know we're both busy.
It's all good. I appreciate coming on today, and I apologize for missing last week, but I really do my best to show up when I say I'll show up.
Oh, I know. You got a lot going on. So you're still going to give me a link with the MP4, right?
Don't you worry about that. I'll hook you up. I'm recording it right now.
Okay. Let me know, and I'll hang up, man. It's good talking to you again.
Will do. Much love, buddy. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you.